Hey folks, it's Zach with Harder, Happier, Healthier. I get 30 questions a day about weightlifting, and I've yet to make a video about weightlifting. So this is what I'm gonna do. Um, I'm gonna talk about carnivore and putting on weight, muscle strength. Um, do I, what do I recommend? What do I not recommend? So how do I start? Well, first of all, I've been lifting weights my entire life. I probably started around age 14 or 15. I grew up in middle Georgia, the middle of nowhere. There was a My dad was a bodybuilder when he was growing up. There was a universal gym in my bedroom, so like an actual, big, huge universal gym, like the old school steel plates and all that. So I grew up with it, you know. I can tell you that carnivore has improved my performance as far as strength and being able to put on muscle. Okay, and the reason I know that is because I had actually lost a lot of muscle coming out of my 20s into my 30s because of crappy diet. Okay, carbohydrate loading is very stressful on the body. It's very oxidative. Okay, carbohydrates and turn into sugar. Sugar glycates. Sugar attaches to things. Sugar makes things more difficult, not easier. I started carnivore in January, I think, of this year. So early, obviously, it's the beginning of the year. January 5th, I believe, is the day. Um, I immediately, and even other people immediately noticed that, I was looking more bulky. And part of that might have been I didn't realize how important, actual protein was, like where the source comes from, not just like getting, a protein shake. I mean, real meat has this ability to like be absorbed naturally, and protein shakes don't do that. Your body knows how to break down flesh. It really does. And I noticed that eating more meat and loading meat made all the difference in the world. Let me move this closer. All right. Um, but initially I gained weight. I gained a little bit of fat actually, and I think that was my body healing and dealing with a lot of toxin release from not eating vegetables anymore. Um, but I noticed dramatic improvements in strength. I think the stamina, is the same. I think the burst of energy that you get when you have like a sugar rush and go to the gym, sometimes that can feel nice, but I don't think that that's a sustainable thing long term. And I think that it's kind of just a fake pump, if you will, because it's giving you this idea that I just had a shake with sugar or carbohydrates or a banana or something like that. It gives you this feeling that are getting a burst of energy. But that burst of energy, with sugar, it goes up and then it comes back down. So there's a crash. So you definitely don't get any crashes when you're on an all meat diet. You have zero crashes. My energy levels are the same at 8 in the morning as they are at 4 in the afternoon. There's no up or down, which is great at the gym. I don't take pre-workout anymore, so it's really hard to compare. Because I always took pre-workout. It's really hard to compare my gym, that lifestyle versus now, because I'm a lot more healthier. Um, and I do notice that lifting weights to me is easier and not as much of uh, a strain. I could work out for 2 hours, and it's I have just as much energy when I start as when I end. Um, but what are the what do I think the best ways to put on muscle? I'm a relatively small guy. I'm only 151 pounds. Now I lift like people that are 300 pounds. I lift heavy. I've also had two back fractures, so I've had some injuries. One of which I can still feel. So there's certain things that I can't do just because I trashed my own body from years of lifting and doing stuff to it. But protein, like that's fat is also super important. If you're not running on fat, you have to run on sugar. You're going to be craving sugar. So making sure that you're eating fatty cuts of meat. Okay, I'm 151 pounds and I eat 2 pounds, which is a little bit higher than what they would recommend. Most people I think recommend about a pound of meat per every 100 pounds of body weight. So I exceed that, right? And I think that that's kind of important on when you're putting on weight because you need to have a surplus of energy and a surplus of building materials, right? Protein is a building material. So if you're pumping your body full of carbohydrates, that's something it has to deal with, right? You're not pumping it full of building materials, which is what you need when you want to put on weight. So absolutely, I don't think carbohydrates are essential at all. I work out. I could fast all day and work out at the end of the day and lift just as much as I would if I would have just, had eggs or anything like that. So I don't have a problem working out without eating at all anymore. And on a sugar based diet, I definitely had that problem. So there are huge benefits to energy level wise on running on fat and just getting enough meat. I have put on some size. I did keto about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, maybe it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I actually lost a lot of muscle. A lot of even my arms got smaller. People would tell me that. They'd say, "Hey, you look like you've gotten smaller," and I wasn't gaining, or I wasn't losing fat. I was losing weight. Okay, um, for some reason the keto diet just doesn't work for me because I need the protein. Okay, that's just me. But if you really want to put on mass, I think lifting heavy. And when I lift heavy, it's I'm trying to fail at rep 4 to 6. So if I'm doing shoulder presses, I usually lift heavy. I'll do. I mean, I can on the machines I can do 400 plus pounds. Dumbbells, I'm 115 pound shoulder presses, 120. I've done 120s. I have to have a spot, and for whatever reason in my gym, everybody's kind of a bitch. They don't want to spot me when I want to lift heavy. So they're like, I don't know what it is. People don't like to help me succeed when I go to the gym. I just don't know what that is, but so if I have somebody that's going to spot me, which is on the occasion that happens, I'll ask for somebody and they'll do it. But typically they don't like to for whatever reason. I've heard all the excuses in the world. Oh I hurt my back yesterday, or I don't know, like they just like make up all this weird shit. So help out your fellow person at the gym, okay? If Even if the person is stronger than you or doing better than you, you pay it forward, okay? Because we're not in competition with anybody else other than ourselves, okay? And this whole world has kind of taught everyone that they have to be in competition with everyone else. I'm not in competition with anybody, okay? When I go to the gym, I want to beat myself. It just works out that you know it. I've done all these things and I can show that and help promote and show that it is possible to be on a carnivore diet and to be able to you know work out and eat only meat. Um, you know, lifting heavy. So fail sets between 2 and 4 reps. When I do shoulder presses, let's say I'm doing 115 pounds, I could probably get that 3 to 4 times. Okay. Um, I would even do or try to do a set that's 1 to 2 times, right? So if I could do 120 1 or 2 times, I want to do that first, or obviously I'll have a warm up, but I want at some point to be able to get to that point. So there is a limit, obviously, to like it wouldn't make any sense for me to try to shoulder press 150-pound dumbbells because that's too much. That's realistically too much weight for my body, and maybe even 115 is too much weight for my body. But that's where I've gotten to as a peak. Um, leg days the same way. I have to do leg presses just because of my back. But like 1,600 pounds, 1,700 pounds. I've done. Leg presses are super important. I feel like putting that much strain on your body. You got to lift heavy legs if you want to put on size, even for your arms. Right, the heavier you go on your legs, the more testosterone you're gonna make. Okay, testosterone is super important. Are you getting enough sunshine? Are you getting 8 hours of sleep every day? Are you getting restful sleep? Are you, um, do you have positive relationships with a spouse or significant other, or is it a toxic one? Toxic relationships will lower testosterone. Poor sleep will lower testosterone. Not getting enough sunshine will lower testosterone. Not getting enough cholesterol, that will lower testosterone for sure. Being overweight, having all that inflammatory visceral fat also lowers testosterone. Fruit lowers testosterone almost immediately. Fructose has been proven in many studies, and I've linked to these before in my Facebook group. By the way, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, Carnivore, Harder, Happier, Healthier, please do that. It's a great community. There's some really smart people in there, people smarter than me, a bunch of doctors, all different areas of life. A lot of 15-year carnivores, people who have been doing this for a long time. They've got the experience. So join that group. That would really help out. It's Carnivore, harder, happier, healthier. Also, really nice people. Like, it's just like no drama. They're just like everybody's really eager to help. There's some like there's some guys in there. That, the bodybuilders in there. I got a buddy of mine. He posts all his training and stuff in there all the time. So if you go in there, you'll see that. Um, but I think that lifting heavy is important, and you have to be able to supply your body with the protein it needs after you've done that, because it's that tearing down, and you're not burning too many calories, right? You're not using up all your glycogen, but you're straining the muscle to the point where there's those rips and tears that we're looking for. And your body's going to want to counter that with like building back better. Okay, not like Joe Biden's fucking train wreck of a plan. Building back better, tear down, build it back up, better than it was before, right? Unlike, we're not going to get into politics. Sorry. Anyway, so yes, getting lots of protein, which is meat, not protein shakes. I don't believe in protein shakes. I think protein shakes are bullshit. Okay, there's no enzymes in there. There's no, there. I think collagen protein, it would be the best out of the group if you're going to do one, but you're still not going to absorb it as properly as you would, a steak or some actual cartilage from an animal. Um, but putting on muscle requires tear down, and putting the right materials back into your body after you've done that is key. And I noticed immediately when I started prioritizing meat in the beginning of this, where it was like, wow, like I feel the pump back in my arms. I feel my, like the vascularity, the strength coming back. And the other thing is you have to consider too is some of the muscle that I put on when I was in my early 20s. I actually lost some of it, but it is harder as you get older to put on muscle. I mean, you make less, you make less, growth hormone and stuff like that. You just have to do your best. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, I'm 37. I definitely can feel a difference between even 5 years ago on how much stamina and stuff like that you have. I mean, we're not getting any younger, but at the same time, I think the carnivore diet gives you a huge advantage for testosterone and things like that. I mean, it's very anabolic. And there's there's so many advantages to being to not having that oxidative stress, and to be able to synthesize that much protein. Your body gets used to that; it can do it. I think there's a limit to protein too. Sometimes I think I hit that. Sometimes I eat too much steak and I actually don't feel good. Um, so there's probably a limit, and you only have so much enzymes in your body to break down so much protein. But definitely lifting heavy, putting in the effort. You got to show up. Effort is 100% your responsibility. The other thing is, don't necessarily look for somebody else. Like I told somebody today, I mean, he was talking to Paul Saladino at Heart and Soil, hey, how do I put on muscle while doing carnivore? And somebody at Heart and Soil was like, eat rice and potatoes. They're the least toxic. And I'm like, or they called it medium toxicity or something. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible advice. First of all, you don't need sugar to there is no part of the muscle that builds and replicates itself other than glycogen, which is a temporary storage for sugar. It's not muscle. You have to have protein to build muscle, not carbohydrates. That it just doesn't make any sense. I have absolutely put on muscle while being carnivore, more so than I did when I was doing the standard American or whatever diet I was on. Pretty terrible overall. Cutting out seed oils, holy shit, that's super important. No more seed oils ever for any reason. Like, plants are toxic, okay? Seed oils are an essence of plants, right? It is like just super toxic to humans. By itself, it's toxic, but the essence or oil of seeds and plants are super toxic. Don't put those in your body, okay? They'll destroy your skin, they destroy your actual cellular integrity, muscle integrity, all that goes to shit. So you'll have less injuries. You'll come back. And the other thing is I don't ever get sore. It's so cool. It's the coolest thing in the world. I never get sore. It's awesome. Um, but just put the protein back in your body. What I was saying about Saladino's, I don't know if it was him specifically, but he responded to somebody's message, and that person came to me asking for advice working out. And I said, listen, try things for 30, 90 days, whatever, right? If you try, like, we all are so genetically different, right? I agree with that. But if you try something for 90 days and you give it a test, you're not going to lose anything. Everybody's looking for some short answer for lifting weights. And the short answer is get your ass in the gym and fucking lift. Okay? Put the time, put the energy, put the effort in, and try things that may or may not work. Try like what I just told you, lifting heavy, doing fail sets between 3 and 4. Heavy will put on mass. Okay? Most people know that. If you're looking for an answer and you find an answer and somebody says, oh, you can't put on mass when you're on carnivore, then you might believe that and you'll never try. Okay? So what I tell people to do is get in there, try carnivore in the gym for 90 days. If that doesn't work, if you need to add potatoes and that makes you feel better and makes you feel like you're putting on more mass, it's just glycogen, it's fake muscle, but like you might feel better and that's all you're really looking for. I mean, at the end of the day, do we really just want to feel better? Or are we just want to be a meathead and look big? Because I never worked out to look big ever. Not in my life have I ever. I only thing I cared about, I wanted to be like my dad. Okay, my dad was strong. He was black belt, like bodybuilder, like all these different things, and I wanted to be like him. And strength was my priority. So when I was lifting weights, I inadvertently had the body that came with it because I was trying to be strong. So when I go to the gym, strength is my number one goal, and that's how I train. Um, and in the last probably 5 or 6 years, it's been functional training as well because I do a lot of stuff on the Bosu ball. My balance is incredible compared to most people, which to me, if you don't have flexibility and balance, you don't have strength, right? Because you have to be able to hold yourself up. You can be really strong, but if I come up to you and I pull you and your abs give and you don't have that that set in the ground kind of feel, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you're going to get thrown around. So um, prioritize strength training. You're only going to do that by putting weight onto your body that it's never done before and stressing it in a way that it hasn't. That's how you put on muscle. So give it the 90 days. Try it. If your goal is putting on weight, eat as much as you want. We don't need to count calories. If your goal is to lose weight and cut up, then maybe less calories and then start maybe integrating some walking or biking or something like that. Doing that in conjunction, but you can definitely do it. And sometimes all it takes is this isn't a short answer thing. This is to do the work. Okay, and if you want to be a superhuman, you got to put in the effort, and that requires you doing things that are difficult. And we kind of come from a society that doesn't like difficult. My wife will you ever ask my wife, like, Zach does hard first, right? I love doing hard shit. I don't. That definitely won't stop me. The more difficult, the more mental capacity it takes, the more even things that are difficult, you know, of the mind. I'll do that first because I want to overcome that first, and then do the easy stuff after. Because that's always been my way of doing things. But I'm definitely here to help. I want if you guys want to put on muscle and strength while you're on carnivore, it's definitely doable. It's definitely easier on carnivore in my experience, and this is coming from somebody who's been in the gym for 20 years or more. So eat eat meat, prioritize meat. If you're not fully carnivore, try to get fully carnivore. If you're somewhere in between and that's where you feel great, then that's where you feel great. Who cares, right? Don't listen to the dogma. Don't you know know the truth, but also do what works for you. Okay, right? I think all plants are toxic. Does that mean that I'm going to avoid them like the plague? Like I can't, have a whatever, an avocado here or, a piece of fruit because it just like feels good or whatever. Like no, that doesn't mean that. But I can tell you that the few times I have had fruit because I thought I was, like, oh, I'm just going to eat. It's not going to bother me. I've had issues from it. I got a skin rash here the other day and itchiness from the oxalates and a kiwi. Okay, just one. Hey, sir, get down. You're gonna fall. These kids are over. They're doing crazy stuff. Get down. Thank you. Um, but and then watermelon makes me throw up. I can't eat watermelon at all. Pineapple makes me throw up. Like I get sick. I feel terrible. My blood sugar actually goes down and crashes for some reason. I don't know why pineapple and watermelon do that. So there's been 3 or 4 times I've tried these things while I've been on carnivore, just to test myself, right? And I don't want to do it. I don't have a need for it. So That's not dogma. That's just what works for me, and that's where I find that's the balance where I'm at. And I actually find that different cuts of meat work better for me than just eating steak. Right? A lot of people just eat steak. I can't. I don't like. I just like to have variety. I like to have pork, mostly ribs. I like beef ribs. But do what works for you, right? Don't listen and don't look for an answer from somebody else, because sometimes the answer has to be discovered within you in order for it to work, right? Because I had to do all that work. I listened to other people, but I also had to try, and I had to look for the answers, and I had to say, well, I did this for how long, and that didn't work. It didn't make me feel good. What else can I do? Okay, and not everybody's going to tell you that, but that's really how you're going to get results. If you want to go into the gym, you got to do it yourself. Nobody else is going to tell you how to do it. Nobody else is going to give you the right answers. Try things for 90 days or even a month, whatever it is. I think 90 days is a long, or 90 days, which should be the minimum when you're trying to diet or trying something. You can always go back. Okay. Um, but I am here to help. Send me your messages. Comment on the video. Let me know what you think. If you're into bodybuilding, lifting, um, send me messages. Send me a Facebook friend request, Instagram request. I like being friends with other people that are in the community. We build the community. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm in the gym almost every day, and I'm lifting heavy, and I'm doing it at a relatively small size. Everybody says, "Oh, you look like you're 180 pounds in your picture." It's like, well, yeah, my body is I've been working on it for a long time. It's 18-inch arm, 18 to 19 depending on the pump, and a 26-inch waist. So it just looks like I'm larger than I am, but I'm 150 pounds, so I'm just as small as a lot of you other guys that want to get in the gym and do some work. So I know what it takes. I know that small people can get in there and lift just as much as heavy people. I do it all the time. There's very few people in my gym that that pick up the dumbbells that I pick up. So um, I'll be here to help you out. Send me your comments, requests, friends. We'll do what we can. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.